Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conspiracy Cowgirls. This is Taryn.
Hi, I'm Jasmine.
And just a little preface for our podcast today. If you're watching on YouTube, we're having some technical difficulties, and
I'm having technical difficulties.
we're full on bootstrapping this shit. Like this is like from the ground up. We're not making millions of dollars. We're just using what we have
Yet.
available to us, and we are just having fun, and this is not something that we're taking super seriously. We're just doing this for entertainment purposes, and so
hmm
you're going to have to bear with us until we can eventually get some better tools.
Until we can get somebody that wants to sponsor us, like maybe Joe Rogan will be like, you know what? He loves a conspiracy.
Yeah, that would be.
Maybe he wants a female version of his conspiracies.
Oh, yeah. Do we sound that smart though?
Joe Rogan doesn't sound smart. He mansplains everything.
You got a point there. You got a point there.
Like, mansplains everything.
That's true.
And we all have these different perspectives, right? So it's like sometimes I listen to Joe Rogan and I'm like, wow. Now, you know who doesn't mansplain is Cat Williams.
He's hilarious.
He is not a mansplainer. That motherfucker is like
The king of like
beyond
words,
intelligent.
dude. He'll say like two words and everyone's like, "Whoa, dude."
Yeah. I love Cat Williams. Now, I would love at some point for him to come on and we would be sitting there just with our jaws to the floor, like, just keep talking. We don't even want to participate.
We can actually just sit here and stare at each other and
Yeah.
just
I just want to hear him talk in
telepathically
front of
communicate.
me. I literally don't even need to say anything. I'm like, you just talk because I'm pretty sure that he is like
Hey,
reborn into his body that he's currently in, and he's literally one of the smartest people. I
hey,
love him.
tell me again how much you love Cat Williams.
I love you, Cat Williams. If you're watching this, I don't care that you're 5'1". I don't care. If you want a girlfriend that just adores you, here I am. I'm here for you. Anyway, so
Oh my God.
let's get to the podcast.
Okay. Um,
Uh,
okay. We're doing our podcast
mhm.
on the Queen herself,
Queen Bay.
Queen Bey, because guess what? This is what we're talking about right now. Because we don't want to talk about fucking tariffs. That's why. So
Paris.
we're just keeping it light. This isn't really that light, to be honest, once you keep to
No, it's not.
this freaking rabbit hole. Holy shit. But it
hmm
starts off, let's just set the scene. It starts off in the beautiful land of enchantment, Hollywood,
Yeah.
our
The
beloved,
beautiful land of fallen angels.
our beloved, non-paid for, moralistic, beautiful California sweetheart, Hollywood.
So wild. Like people say, Hollywood is the land of broken dreams and fallen angels.
That's why it's called Los Angeles. That
Yeah. Yep. So, um, which is kind of just wild. So, when
so
we
we
were talking
figured
about
since
technical
Beyonce,
difficulties,
sorry, go ahead.
oh, it's fine. When we're talking about technical difficulties, it's because my laptop actually stopped working, so I have to take it to the computer guys today. But what's going to happen is I'm going to disappear off the screen because we have this whole outline of our podcast today of everything that we're going to talk about, and it's 30 minutes, and we're already starting that time frame, and so we're probably not even going to have enough time to finish. So there's going to be some things that we're going to have to skip out on, but you're going to hear my voice. You'll hear my voice.
Got that? Her thing might say Zoom user or something.
Yeah.
So
So Zoom
just
user. So
FYI.
I'm gonna pop out right now. You'll still hear me, but you won't be able to see me because I'm gonna go to our outlines for our notes. And you have them too, right? I sent them to you.
I do.
Okay. So I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, okay, you guys, so it is gonna be a little bit of a crazy podcast today. We are gonna talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce, and there is a lot of conspiracies around their powerhouse marriage, and And our podcast title today is The Illuminated Empire, The Untold Truth of Beyoncé and Jay-Z. So, um, we already did our introductions, and today we are going to dive into their world. They are considered the ultimate power couple in the music industry. But behind their fame, there's some wild conspiracy theories that question their rise to the top, their relationship, and the forces allegedly controlling them.
Mhm.
So, some of the questions that we are going to ask today and deep dive into, starting with, did Beyonce really rise to fame on her own, or was she groomed to be who she is today? And how deep do Jay-Z's Illuminati ties really go? So, with that being said, we're going to jump right into the first segment, and we're going to call that the grooming of Beyonce. Oh, it's a little bit tricky, right? Because like people are really, this is a topic that I'm going to say, just like Taylor Swift, Beyonce has a very cultish following, and she's talented. I loved her
And
when she was part of
beautiful.
Destiny's Child. Like her
Yeah,
voice is incredible.
she's absolutely
Like
gorgeous.
she's fucking gorgeous. But listen, this is what they say. They think that she is actually a clone. And because she does not age.
She
She does
doesn't.
not age. She looks exactly the same as she did when she was 17, first starting.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of conspiracies around her rise to fame, and if she was groomed by her father to prepare her for Jay-Z. And they think that him and his partner of Rockefeller Records, they think that they both have this fascination with younger women that they groom, and he did the same thing with Aaliyah. So Aaliyah is Jay-Z's ex. And I didn't even know that him and Aaliyah dated. I had no clue. That I just thought that they had ties. I didn't know that they dated. So, um, so we go into our first segment, and we are going to talk about Beyonce's career and how it was carefully orchestrated from a young age. So
Like a
let me
lot
know
of
anytime.
like a lot of the like Disney people and like
Yeah.
Shirley Temple, dude, she's like the ultimate one that was groomed, poor little thing.
Oh,
But
yeah.
that's basically who Hollywood built their back off of was Shirley Temple. So it's
Yeah.
like all these women and men too, like men and women, young men and women that just have no idea and are so vulnerable and things happen. So
Yeah.
then before you know it, you're involved in like the scandal of all scandals, which is the
Yeah.
Diddy case, right? It's like
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to talk about any of that, but like let's just preface this whole thing with saying like, hey, the elephant in the room is freaking what up, Diddy? Diddy got all these people like under fire, and Beyonce and Jay-Z were definitely in there, specifically Sean Combs or whatever. But Sean Combs is P. Diddy. I always get their names confused.
Jay-Z. So
Jay-Z.
so here's the thing is that all of it, I think it distracted the real the real bad guy, which I think is Jay-Z. It distracted, that was a big
But it's
distraction.
like
Everything,
everyone's just going on as business as usual. It's really interesting because like all these other people that are involved in this case like are
yeah,
not doing well, and like
no.
they're they're either out of like I saw a picture of Justin Bieber a couple days ago. He looks horrible. Like I feel
Oh,
really
yeah.
like sad for him, like talk about being fucking groomed.
Yeah, it's really
Like
sad. Well,
poor
and not
guy.
just that, but they think that um Justin Bieber is somebody predicted that Justin Bieber would either attempt to take his own life or he would OD before the end of February.
Oh yeah, and I wonder why.
Yeah. So, well, and they just removed you know, Diddy from prison and took him to the hospital because apparently they're saying that he got jumped by a bunch of inmates. So
I didn't hear that
I
one.
don't know if this is going to be another Epstein thing where he gets, taken out in the hospital or what it is. Anyway, let's get back on track here because
But like
we can
my
deep dive for forever. I mean, it's like
right.
one rabbit hole that leads to another rabbit hole that leads to
But my
another rabbit hole, right?
yeah, my point is that there's all this shit that they've been under fire for. And it's just been business as usual. It started with Beyonce making a speech for Kamala, and then it went, and everyone's just like literally the whole entire list of people that were under fire for the Diddy case all said speeches for fucking Kamala. I was like,
Yeah.
is this for real? Like, does nobody think this is weird? Beyonce was one of the stars of the show, and then she goes and like all now she's ahead the what for the playoff game she's performing. Now she's performing for the Super Bowl. Now
Mhm.
she's just won best artist at the Grammys and country album. What? Like, I don't understand. And then also her daughter was just a voiceover in The Lion King. Like, they're all making tons of publicity about that. It's just kind of like, what is going on? Like,
Yeah.
why isn't like, I mean, I just find it odd when things aren't acknowledged.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
find it
it's
odd.
just it's the synchronicities around everything, right? It's how everything tends to happen all at once, right? So they're saying that, the Grammys are bought and paid for. They're saying that this is her 33rd Grammy. They're saying that Jay-Z pays for them. They're saying, I mean, we could go on and on. This is what makes our show so cool is that it's all conspiracies. Nobody knows the truth about anything. We do not know for a fact that all this is happening. We do not know for a fact that Beyonce is under mind control. They're saying that she's under MK Ultra mind control
Yeah,
when she turns into Sasha Fierce. They're saying all these things and we do not know. We just
we
talk
don't know
about it.
anything.
So
We're open about being totally not knowing shit.
we do not know shit, but we just are fascinated by all of it. I mean, I am fascinated on a day-to-day basis. Taryn and I talk about all this stuff because
We're just like,
it's
did you see
fascinating to
that? Like,
me.
how did she win? I mean, for real, you guys, country album. I mean,
Well,
come
let's talk
on.
about the Grammys are not,
I
they do
don't
not
care. There's
recognize.
so many artists that should deserved that.
Well, but that's not what I'm saying. Like in the CMAs, the Country Music Association, right? The Country Music Awards, they recognize the top country artists. So, Chris Stapleton will win, Lainey Wilson will win, all these people will win. But when it comes to the Grammys, they have never technically been
They should have called it
affiliated with
country pop
country.
at least. The best
Right,
country pop artist of the year. She's
right.
not a country artist.
No, she's not a country artist. However, does she hail from Texas? Absolutely. However, she's never been focused. Just like I don't think that Post Malone should be considered a country artist either. He's country pop because he did hip hop before he did anything in the country realm, right? So it's to me is kind of the same thing. Like and you know me, I love me a Post Malone. Like, if there is a fan out there that thinks he deserves to be the country music artist of the year, I don't think so. I don't think he deserves. That's the same thing with Jelly Roll. I don't think Jelly Roll should get that title either because he came from the world of not country. So I believe that, Chris Stapleton, should he get country music artist of the year?
Yes,
Absolutely. Lainey Wilson, absolutely. Megan
absolutely.
Maroney, absolutely.
Yes.
Morgan Wallen, absolutely. Like
Yeah,
all of
Morgan.
those artists that are absolutely classified as country music
Even like
artists.
Sturgill Simpson, man. Like,
Oh God, I love him.
come on. Like, there's
Don't
some
even get me
real
started.
raw talent out there, you know?
Yeah. And she has real raw talent, but
But
just
not,
not,
not
she's not country in the sense that country should be considered country.
no. I was
She's,
watching this girl the other day, like posted, I haven't even listened to the album because I'm not a fan of Beyonce. I never have been, but that's just my own personal music taste. Beyonce doesn't do it for me. But this girl was like holding up a video of one of her songs on her album, and it's like her yelling. And I'm just like, this isn't country music.
yeah,
Like, I don't know any country artists that yell like that, you know? Like,
yeah.
bro, this ain't country. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so there's a lot of people that are,
My humble opinion.
angry that she won that award. There's a lot of people that are excited that she won that award. That is neither here nor there for me because I could care less what she wins or doesn't win. My thought is, and a lot of people don't feel sorry. They think that Beyonce is this or that. I feel sorry for her because I think that her talent was sold and it was bought and paid for by Jay-Z. And I feel like her father sold her out and sold her at a young age, and she was groomed by Jay-Z and um her father to be who she is. So it breaks my heart because so many young musicians and actors are sold out by their parents, right? So since you're popping away from the computer for a minute, so let's just so I want to go down into the introduction to the theory of that Beyonce's career was carefully orchestrated from a young age by her father, Matthew Knowles. Um, he was extremely influential in shaping her career. He was a former corporate sales exec, and he pushed to control her public image and her professional life. She was considered to be the good girl of hip hop, and that it was Destiny's Child was just a stepping stone, but they had groomed her and prepared her to become a solo act, right? And they say that Jay-Z was handpicked to be her partner, um, not for love, but for mutual benefit. And I honestly believe that in the beginning, everybody was like, whoa, wait a second. Jay-Z and Beyonce are a couple? Because let's get real. Like, he's not a good looking dude, and she's a fucking brick house powerhouse beauty. I mean, she's gorgeous, right? So, like, for her to pick Jay-Z as a life partner is, I was like, wait a second, what's happening here?
She made
So,
him look good.
huh?
She made him look good.
Oh, absolutely. She is like, I don't know, she is way too good for him, but that's a whole nother topic. So, okay, so then we go into her relationship, right? That like there's this huge age gap of between them of I think it's a little over 10 years. He was born in the 70s, she was born in the 80s. I think what let's go here. So let's go to um let me find the actual I mean there is so many like things that we can really go just deep diving into. And I think that, okay, so there's a 12-year age gap. And it's just like when we look at that age gap, I look at people for me, I am 47, and then I look at how how much of an age gap when I'm dating makes a difference in what we share as a belief system, as our views on the world, which is huge, right? Because I'm considered Gen X. And although people in their early 50s are also considered Gen X, they were raised on a totally different timeline than me as a Gen Xer in the later 70s because I think it ends in 1981. So technically, Beyonce, I think she's what, 43? So she's a Gen Xer as well, but her experience and view of the world is completely different. So he was born in 1969. She was born in 1981. He's 12 years older than her. Apparently, they met when, and I think that this is going to be multiple I think we should do this in multiple uh episodes, right? So I think we're going to have to do like three parts to this story. So
Oh, we can talk about Beyonce 3 times.
yeah, but I think it's really interesting. Some of the information that is out there, and most of it is all there's facts surrounding everything, and you can look it up for yourself. People can look up all this stuff for themselves, and all of it is factual. But then there's a couple conspiracies surrounding everything. Um, so basically, the official story says that they met around when she was about 18 or 19. So that would be 99 to 2000. And they began dating when she was about 20. But some people believe that their relationship began much earlier. And that's possibly when she was around 16 or 17. Um, she's been pretty vague about when they met, which fuels the speculation that they were introduced when she was much younger, which means that she was actually groomed. You know, if they met when she was younger, that would be like her dad and her family was grooming her. Um, it like much like a lot of other artists, he was extremely controlling over her career and personal life, and that he encouraged and possibly even facilitated her relationship with Jay-Z because of the influence and power it would bring. Um, Destiny's Child was already big when they supposedly met and started dating. But because of his ties to the hip hop industry, wealth, and the connections that it could elevate her to become this crazy superstar and just push her into full blown superstardom. Um, they think that it was some people even suggest that this is what it says. Some people even suggest that Matthew saw Jay-Z as a safe option to keep Beyonce within a controlled environment rather than allowing her to date younger, unpredictable men. um but then they look at the ties to his history with younger women, so that he prefers younger impressionable partners, um, and that he apparently dated Aaliyah before he dated Beyonce. And she had dated, well, I don't want to say dated, but he had, she had Damon Dash, who was Jay-Z's business partner, and that was Aaliyah's mentor. So we have all of these older men
Everybody's
mentoring these
connected.
younger,
They're all
right?
freaking, it's one big giant freaking cesspool out there, dude.
Right, but they have all these older men mentoring these younger female artists.
Yeah.
Um, and they believe that obviously we know this, but that the industry has a pattern of grooming younger female artists to be
And
with
males.
powerful older men. And Beyonce was just another example of this. You know, she's just another example of this. So, um,
So then they have
I'm-
their like, ties to the Illuminati and
well,
supposedly.
and that is really a whole another
But I
hold on
thought
a
that
second.
one of the points that was kind of just interesting, like about that is just, here we're seeing this new. I'm gonna zoom in real quick because I feel like it's like really easy for us to zoom in, zoom out, and it kind of puts things into perspective to like as we're why we're even talking about this is because of like the current shit going on in our world. It's like very current. Beyonce just is doing all these things, and so we're kind of like, what, like, how do these people have this kind of power? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To just like, I mean, come on. Like it's just it does none of it makes sense, right? It just doesn't. Like when you're under the kind of fire that they're under and nothing is being acknowledged. And so it's like, how do these people have this kind of power? And so it kind of ties into like Illuminati stuff.
Yeah.
That's like you said, it's a whole other thing. Like freaking who's, but I think what's interesting, what I was starting to say is that all her different personas. There was like Sasha Fierce, and they're saying that like in the notes, it's like, oh, she could be under some sort of MK Ultra mind control, and she goes into this like freaking demonic presence. And then there's Cowboy Carter, and it's like she's just positioning herself for whatever's.
Well, what do they say? I think I sent you the notes about it of what Blue Ivy stands for?
Oh, that one was crazy that you told me last night.
Hold on a second. I'm going to
Blue
find it.
Ivy is
So,
their daughter.
yeah, so Blue Ivy is their daughter, and they have this whole like so okay, so they have this whole they're part of the Illuminati, and they actually run like they are huge in the Illuminati, and that they had there's all these series around her birth that was Beyonce. Did they use a surrogate? Did they do this? Did they do that? Because she didn't actually want to carry a baby, but they took and they had their eggs implanted into a surrogate, blah, blah, blah. And who knows?
Yeah.
I don't even care about that.
Or
However,
there's the other one where there's that his mistress. Did we just talk about that? His mistress
oh, yeah,
supposedly
yeah, yeah,
had
yeah.
Blue Ivy, and this is not even Beyonce's daughter. I've heard that
Okay,
one too.
so name, meaning, and occult symbolism when it comes to Blue Ivy. And I feel bad because is she a
She's
baby? Is
adorable.
she a child? Is she human? Is she AI? I don't know. I have no clue. Okay, so some theorists, this is a theory, a conspiracy theory. We are conspiracy cowgirls. We talk about conspiracies. This is a conspiracy. So, some theorists claim Blue Ivy stands for born living under evil, Illuminati's very youngest, Blue Ivy. Others claim Ivy stands for IV, which equals 4, which is Beyonce and Jay-Z's favorite number. Some say her
Interesting.
name spells Yulb Yvi backwards, which means Lucifer's daughter in
Oh,
Latin.
shit.
Yes, although this they say that this is widely debunked.
Okay.
So then they talk about her having a prosthetic baby bump and
Oh,
faking her
well, she
pregnancy
did.
with
What was she on? She was on like Jimmy
some
Fallon.
European Euro your opinion European television show, and her I saw the interview and her belly absolutely folded in, but
Yeah, you know what? I think that one's so good though that I'm gonna post that in
the link to it, yeah,
the
it's
link
pretty
to it in
interesting.
our show notes.
So when Jay-Z's cheating scandal exploded with Lemonade and 444, many questions if it was even real. They think that it wasn't just about infidelity, but it was a ritual or a public humiliation ceremony to reaffirm their power. And that the Lemonade album was filled with witchcraft and occultic imagery. Um, and such as Beyonce smashing car windows in a yellow dress, referencing ocean, a spirit in African spirituality. Some believe this album wasn't just about his cheating, but it was a metaphysical transformation ritual. And then you have people that are questioning, well, why would she stay with Jay-Z? She's Beyonce. Why would she stay with Jay-Z after he cheated? Um, a lot of people say that because of MK Ultra, that she had no choice but to stay with him because of their empire that they had built. Um, and they also believe that the cheating scandal was manufactured to sell albums and reinforce their narrative as a forgiving power
Yeah.
crumple. Um,
So it's
and
kind
then
of
they
just
think,
like, go ahead, sorry.
no, 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 you go for it. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
Oh,
But
we're at the 5 minutes. So
we just began.
yeah, there's just it's so much. I just think like the truth behind all this, like we're obviously not gonna probably ever know. But I definitely think it's a lot more complicated than we realize. And I think the interesting part about it, like I keep saying, is just how is like everything right now is Beyonce. And like she
Yeah.
came out with that album a while ago. It was
Okay,
this
so
year.
listen, we're gonna how much time do we have left?
We've got 5 minutes.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so we are I'm gonna recap real quick. Is that
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So that the recap of our episode is that Beyonce and Jay-Z are puppets of the industry for their rituals and the conspiracy theory that their rise to power was not organic. Um, although Beyonce's talent was organic. It was she had and she still is talented. I'm not saying she's not because
Yeah.
she has a beautiful voice. I love her voice. It's very soulful, it's rich, it's deep. She is extremely connected to her talent. So, regardless of all of the conspiracies surrounding about how she got so famous or her
Sorry, it's
marriage to
just not a
Jay-Z.
country album
But okay. So
though.
anyway, so they think that she's not in full control of her career or life, which is kind of like then we have the opposite end of that spectrum, which is Britney Spears, right? She was not in control. She had like all of these handlers. Her dad sold her under the bus, like all this shit, right? So it's kind
Yeah,
of
it's like
like
we
the
all know
same.
this happens in Hollywood. Like there's
Right, right.
it's not
So
made up that this type of shit
right.
happens, you know?
Well, and that's where they're calling it a larger system. They're calling it celebrity manipulation, right? So there's this larger conspiracy culture surrounding the music industry, which would make sense because they're not paid properly. Their contracts are not handled properly. And that's what Chaperone was talking about. And that's why she called out the music industry
I like that for
and
her.
on stage at the Grammys
I
this year.
saw that.
So
Good for her.
so
She calls out, I see her sometimes walking the red carpet and she'll like call out a reporter and she'll be like, remember that one time that I saw you and you were really rude to me because I wasn't famous yet? She's all, and now you want my attention. I love it. I'm like, damn, this girl's not fucking around.
well, and they're saying that's the same with like Lady Gaga and like everybody, right? So like this isn't anything new and they treat people how they want to treat them until they need something from them.
And then they're like, oh, remember this one time you did this? It's
Right.
mhm.
So that they say that because of the larger culture that the top celebrities are groomed, controlled, and tied to secret societies. Now, I do have to say this, which is so interesting. I was hanging out with a guy,
Turn your camera on.
and huh?
Turn your camera on.
Oh, sorry.
We want to see your face.
I was looking at my notes. Sorry,
Oh,
I get a little bit obsessed. So I was hanging out with this guy, and when I met him, he was really nice. He was super cool. And then he started talking about being a Mason. And I was like, I've never actually met anybody who's a Mason, and he is like a hardcore, big time Mason. And so I was asking him, I was like, so is it really a secret society? And he's all, we're a society with secrets, but we're not a secret society. And I was like, I think that's pretty much gaslighting at its finest, right? But like, I was like, his house, I
two
had
minute
dated
warning.
him. Huh? 2 minute?
2 minutes.
Okay. Anyway, he had Freemasonry on the back of his car, on his mailbox, on the front of his house, like on his cabinets, on his countertops. Like everything in his house was like big time Freemason. So I was like, in the very end of all of this, everybody's tied to Freemasonry.
It exists. It just does.
It
But with
does.
that said, keep your eye out for it. And if you see anything interesting or cool or want to learn more about Beyonce and Jay-Z or have more questions about, anything really, you can write us on conspiracycowgirls.com and submit your conspiracy. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
YouTube.
You can watch us on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
yeah,
I want to come back and do another episode on more of this with Jay-Z and Beyonce because I really feel like we can make that into more of the mind control, especially with women in the industry, because I believe a lot of women in the industry are under some form of mind control, one way or another.
yeah, it's pretty wild.
It is crazy. So, with that being
There's a lot to
said,
cover. There's a lot to cover. That being said,
always,
thank you for listening and let us know what you think. Submit your conspiracies and we
yeah. Okay, you guys, thank you for listening.
Okay, bye.
Bye.